So we will be recording. So if you want to circle back afterwards, we'll have this recording posted on the Philadelphia Works Procurement Opportunities page, along with a FAQ sheet of all the questions captured and answered. Great. Thanks, Jenny. So my name is David Irvin. I'm a project specialist with Philadelphia Works. I've been supporting these for about 3 years now, and I'm happy to welcome Ann Pazocha, who I will allow to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Ann Pazocha. I am the Senior Manager with OCF Adult Education.
This is just an overview of the agenda. We're closing out the welcome portion, but we'll also be going into the grant opportunity itself and some of the specifics around it, as well as some of the logistics around applying for it, and then the requirements around being awarded.
So what is this grant for? This is to help your organization support itself and its adult learners, to allow for innovation, collaboration, and coordination, and to focus on creating a welcoming environment. And for those of you who applied last year, you'll notice that this is a familiar theme, but we're placing a heavy emphasis this year on accessibility.
Great. So just some of the specifics around being awarded. Again, this opportunity is being offered in partnership with the Office of Children and Families, but Philadelphia Works will be administering the grant and be the primary point of contact for applicants and awardees. If selected, awards will be made up to $25,000 per application, and $25,000 is the maximum amount being awarded. If you are awarded, all grant funds will need to be expended by June 30th, 2023. So we're going to ask that everybody apply for an amount that you're realistically able to spend by that deadline. And that's just because all unspent funds after the 30th will need to be recouped. Along with your being awarded, you'll also be required to provide proof of expenditures. So for any equipment costs, you'll need to provide receipts or proof of purchase. If you're working with a contracted or vendor or any professional services that are being rendered, we will require invoices. And then if there's any staff time applied to your application, we will require payroll registers for that. Any budget or line item expenses exceeding $5,000 must also include quotes from 2 other competing vendors or contractors, and that's something that we can circle back with if you are awarded. But just for that heads up in advance when you're submitting your budget sheets. Also, you go back, Jen. Also, there is an indirect or admin costs cap of 10%. So for organizations that have an indirect rate or administrative costs, that would be 10% of the total grant amount that you are awarded. So if you're awarded the full amount of $25,000, it'll be $2,500 maximum that you can apply to those costs. Next slide.
Okay, so what does this timeline look like? So March 24th already passed, but the grant was announced on that date. Here we are on April 10th. Info session, learning more about the grant and sort of what it looks like. Now, this is the big one. The application date is April 24th. So all submissions need to be in by close of business. And then, as David just said, there's a June 30th deadline to spend the funds that were awarded to you.
Also, you can just go back real quick, Jenny. Also, as the application is currently live, we will start reviewing as soon as your application is submitted. However, final determinations won't be made until that grant period ends on the 24th. This is just an overview of the evaluation criteria. So Philadelphia Works and the Office of Children and Families will have a joint committee of reviewers who will be responsible for assessing your applications as they're submitted, along with your budget sheets. And then we'll just be looking for the clarity of your application, trying to understand what you're proposing and why it's important, how it aligns with adult education, the impact and desired outcomes of the proposal, and how does it meet and align with those outcomes. Your budget details, how the items being funded within your budget will support adult learners and how they align with your proposal altogether, and then how you plan on collecting your data and then how the grant funds would be utilized. And I'll pass it off to Anne if she has anything else to add.
Yeah, so when you look on the grant application, we've outlined what it is we're looking for in terms of the impact on promoting safety, dignity, respect, and accessibility. But we are not limited to those ideas. If you have another idea that you would like to put a proposal for in, feel free to do it. We're pretty flexible, but we are going to be looking really for the accessibility piece and the welcoming environment piece. But don't limit yourself to just that in your applications.
So these are just some of the reporting requirements that Philadelphia Works will be looking for. Of course, if you're awarded, Philadelphia Works will be scheduling one-to-one meetings with you to kind of go into depth and detail on some of these. But from a high-level view, again, the 3 bids is specific to those line items in your budget that will cost or that will exceed the $5,000 cost. So, for example, if you wanted to get contracted work to make your bathrooms ADA compliant and it exceeds that cost, you would need to find 2 other vendors as well to and make your case for the one that you're selecting. And then providing a short narrative of your program and like how the grant funds are utilized, as well as a high-level overview of the data collected. We really want to make this as simple as possible, so it's really just a 2-page sheet, but we will provide more details to the awarded organizations as we get to that point. And then lastly, right now we just have a date for final reporting to be due 1 month past the deadline to have the grant funds expended. Yep, and then again, the application is currently live. So 2 weeks from today is the deadline. I'll have Jenny can post the application link if you don't already have it. But yeah, you will need to complete your application via the website. And then there's also links for the budget sheet and W-9 as well for the listing. So just because of some of the constraints of the application itself, you'll need to send those directly to us. However, once you submit your application, somebody from Philadelphia Works will also circle back with you to request those documents as well to close out your application. And now we'll just open it up to questions. So again, any questions that you submit or ask today will be captured in the FAQ document that will also be posted on the website along with this recording. And you can also reach out directly to us at the aegrants@philaworks.org with any additional questions or outreach that you may have, as well as that will be the direct point of contact for any application or correspondence and where you should submit your budget sheets and W-9 forms. So we will open up to questions now, and yeah.
Hello, I have a question.
Great.
This is Elizabeth. I wanted to know, can the grant funds be used to pay teacher salaries for our ESL and digital literacy classes?
So in the past, we have allowed that. That would be included in a programmatic cost that you would submit in your budget. I would just say as long as it's restricted to those programmatic, works that you're offering, that would be allowed.
And would the proof of payment, would the invoices suffice? And would you need copies of their checks as well?
In the past, we've used invoices, but if you want to provide both just to make sure you're covered, you're more than welcome to. And do you have any thoughts to that?
No, that sounds great.
Yep.
Okay, and then my second question is, can the funds be used to pay rent as well for the space being used?
I would need to circle back to see what we've done historically for rent costs, but we can, connect with you afterwards and get you that answer.
Okay, thank you.
I just had a quick question about the $5,000 3 bid piece. So if we had like a line item that totaled over $5,000, but was for like multiple Chromebooks, for example, like we wouldn't need multiple bids for that, right? Or would we?
We have required that in the past for technology purchases.
Technology.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if, it's all the same item, but they exceed over $5,000, then yeah, you would need to find two other bids or quotes.
Okay. And is it clear where we should designate that on the budget, or how should we do that?
That would be like included in programmatic costs, but specifically you're asking if that, like, the budget has line items in it, so you would just say like, 50 Chromebooks, for example, and then you would include that final cost and then a description. So that's how it would be listed out.
Okay, thank you.
Any other
Question,
questions?
please?
Yep.
Yeah, so you said the money should be spent by deadline of June 30th. So, and the closing date is like 24. So it's only 2 months to go through the application, award it, and then this reimburse the money and spend it in 2 months. Is that very short time period, or what do you say?
That's if you don't think you would be able to spend the money within that amount of time, I would yeah, I would plan on spending the money by June 30th date.
Okay, so if you are awarded, at what time we'll have the money? Like in a week or two? Or?
So after scheduling the one-to-one, we'll send out and that'll usually happen within a month or two. I'm sorry, not a month, a week or two of the closing deadline. So we'll have our determined awardees figured out by then. We'll schedule the one-to-one with you. And then immediately after that, you're allowed to start purchasing the items. And Philadelphia Works will be working to get you, paid out probably by the end of May.
Okay.
So it is a short turnaround, but these are just some excess funds that we're looking to make sure go to the adult workforce programs, and just something to really end out the year on a strong note with our with organizations that are being awarded.
Okay, so it also can be used for personnel payment, right?
Personnel, as long as they're providing programmatic, work. So if it's administrative, or if they're like, processing invoices or anything along those lines, that would be considered an indirect or an administrative cost. But if it is programmatic, then they can be included on your budget sheet.
So the 10% will be on top of the 25 or included in the 25?
It is included within the 25.
Okay, thank you.
If you choose to, apply for that much.
Of questions in the chat. I was wondering about how many of the grants will be awarded.
There's no amount. We're just looking to expend the funds that we have on hand. So, there as many as we can make will be awarded.
Yeah, because Jessica, like an organization, for example, could apply for like $5,000, right? But then like you could have 2 more organizations apply for 10, and then like another 4 apply for 15. So because we're leaving it like open-ended for like up to $25,000, there's no like set limit for how many awards are going to go out.
Okay, but there aren't multiple 25K awards. There's just like one pot of 25K that's going to be awarded total.
The pot's bigger than 25K.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. There are some other questions in the chat.
There is a final, I'll start going through these. There is a final report template that will be sent to you immediately after our one-to-one if you are awarded. So you'll get an entire packet along with, you know, your award letter, and then that will be discussed and kind of walk through during that meeting. Can materials purchased with these funds be used in the upcoming fiscal year? They can, as long as they are purchased before June 30th. So you can utilize them for the upcoming fiscal year, but they need to be purchased and have proof of purchase and expenses that align with that June 30th deadline.
Which is different than the PDE requirements for those of you who have worked with PDE in the past.
Any other questions? If you have already completed the application, we need to add more information, submit additional documents. How can you do so? You can do so directly by emailing the aegrants@flowworks.org inbox. And also, once you submit an application, you will be getting a confirmation of receipt from that inbox, just letting you know that we have received your application. So if you don't receive that, feel free to follow up with us. But even if you forget to add your budget sheet or your W-9, somebody from Philadelphia Works will be reaching out to you to gather those documents.
David and Ann, I'm still confused about the technology bidder question that was asked before. Can you just clarify for me? So, for example, if I want to purchase, let's say, a smart board and a printer for my adult education classes, are you saying that I cannot purchase those two items from the same company? Is that what you mean by 3 different bidders?
No. So if you want to purchase a smart board and a printer, those will first be 2 different line items. But if you were purchasing a smart board and it exceeded $5,000, you would need to find at least 2 other quotes or other vendors who are offering smart boards and submit that information along with your application.
So for example, like if you wanted to purchase a smart board for $10,000, I have no idea if that's the correct price. I'm just making it up. You need to submit like quotes from, for example, like Walmart, Amazon, and Best Buy, right? Those are different bidders.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I understand. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
I was confused. Thanks.
Would those quotes just be listed in the description on that line item? Like where would we list the additional quotes?
There's a budget narrative portion. So the budget sheet is
In
2
the
pages,
narrative.
and you can include that in the narrative.
Got it. Okay.
Great. So if there are no other questions, you're welcome to hop off. Again, this recording will be posted
do-
on. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, David. I have a quick question.
Sure.
So you probably had answered this. I just came in. So one of the criteria is that we have to be operating as an adult education provider. And so I have to be specific. We're a nonprofit operating multiple programs for economic mobility for community residents. And one of which, of course, is adult education program. So does that mean that we do not qualify if we're not specifically focused on adult education?
What type of adult education program are you running? Is it financial literacy based or is it text literacy based?
That would be English as a first language for a high Puerto Rican American community.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, if you're doing English like that, that I believe should be fine, but we'll circle back and
Okay.
confirm with you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And if you also have questions specific to the operations of your organization, you are welcome to reach out to us. And then and Jenny and I meet once a week, so we will go through all of your questions there and get a clear answer back to you.
We use volunteer instructors. And I was wondering if we usually offer them something we call a stipend. And is that something that would be acceptable under this grant?
I have seen stipends included in budgets in the past. Yes.
And also I wanted to ask about assessment testing, for English competency when a student is starting a class.
Would that be something that could be included within your budget? Is that your question?
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, the answer to that is yes.
Okay, thank you.
Just another quick question. Sorry, you guys had mentioned data collection. Can you expand on what you're looking for in that regard?
Yep, and it's high level. So we try to make it as easy as possible, but the zip code that you are supporting, the demographics of the participants that are in your programs. We asked for like a brief narrative and how they were impacted. So the final report is 2 pages, 2 or 3 pages. So we try to keep it as high level as possible to make it as easy as possible. But just general demographics around who you're supporting and where they are.
Thank you.
Okay, so a quick question. If we are doing ESL classes and tech literacy, is that qualify for this grant?
If you're working with learners who are 16 and older, yes.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to do a last call for any last questions.
Yeah, one more question. We had some interest at one time of getting professional development, having someone actually give some training. Is that an acceptable line item?
Yes, that would be an acceptable line item for your budget. And then just lastly, if you submit your application, we have any questions, somebody from Philadelphia Works will circle back with you to get any clarifying answers that we need for your consideration. Oh, and thanks, Jenny. Also, lastly, Philadelphia Works will be offering office hours until the application is due on the 24th. So I believe, Jenny, correct me if I'm wrong, right now it's scheduled for Monday. So this Monday and next Monday, the day of the closeout date. So, we will be here to answer any questions as you are completing your application as well.
Okay, so the indirect cost, is it 10% or up to 10%?
It is 10% or up to 10%. So you can request like a full 10% of the total amount that you're asking for, or you can request less.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to hang on for a little bit. So if you have any questions, I will capture them and, take them down and pass them off to Anne, but I will free everybody else to go about your days. Thank you for joining with us. And have a great week.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
David, actually, I have one other question. I just thought of, which is travel vouchers. I was just thinking more about what could be included under accessibility. Would that be an acceptable?
I'll need to circle back on that. I don't recall offhand if that's something that we've done in the past, but I will get a clear answer for you.
Okay, yeah, and what I mean by that is just that, like, to be able to support participants in coming to
Yeah.
programs, things like that.
We have your email address just because you registered to be here, so we'll circle back with you tomorrow.
Okay, thanks, though, I really appreciate that, thank you.
Absolutely. Jenny, you can also stop recording.
David, I did have one other question. I asked earlier about a stipend. Would a stipend be considered a administrative cost, an indirect cost? That would fall under the, I think you said 10% max.
The stipend, is it for?
It would be for instructors, yeah, teachers in the class.
Let me circle back with you on that. I'll go back and see how stipends have been included in past applications in previous years. But yeah, I don't want to commit to a clear answer without doing that background check.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, again, just to be specific, so I'm wondering if that would fit under the administrative
Yeah.
indirect cost cap.
Yep, I will. I'm making a note to circle back with you on that. So you'll get an inbox from the 8 grants. I'm sorry, you'll get an email from the 8 grants inbox, and we'll get that answer back to you.
Okay, great. Thank you. I don't have any other questions that I can think of. Have a good day.
You too. Take care.